Gikan sa Tagumala ug magkawani sa Radio Philippines Network Incorporated RPN DXKS Radio Ronda. Malipayong Pasko ug mabungahong bagong tuig kaninyong tanan.
Mga kaigsuunan, maayong adlaw. Inyong mabati karon ang programa sa Tagum Cooperative nga naguluhan ug Tagum Co-op ang tubag sa panginahanglan ug giya sa kauswagan. Ang maong programa nagtumong sa paghatag og mga kasayuran nga adunay kalabutan sa mga kalihukan ug proyekto sa kooperatiba ug naningkamot nga maghatag og higayon nga mouswag ang kinabuhi sa mga katawhan hilabi na sa mga miyembro niini ug sa mga umaabot pa nga magpamiyembro. Aniya karon ang mudumala sa maong programa.
Kung anunay panginahanglan, ang Tagum Co-op may tubag sa tanan, mag-atiman sa kaumaon ko. May Tagum Co-op nga kadangpan ko. May kahayag ang kaumaon ko, ang Tagum Co-op masaligan ko. May kalipay ang kinabuhi ko, may Tagum Co-op nga kadangpan ko. May Tagum Co-op nga kadangpan ko.
Maing hapon, oras na sa RPN, alas 2 sa hapon. Nikadlong Sabado, petsa 27 ning bulan sa Disyembre tuig 2025. Welcome diri sa atong programa, ang Tagum Co-op tubag sa panginahanglan, giya sa kauswagan. Ako inyong higala sa kahanginan, Ken tayo gandaga, maoy mag-una sa atong programa karon sulod sa usa ka oras. Usap po na ako ipailaila atong kauban ni hapuna. Mga usab ko higayon nga tahuron ang ato ang nasyonal ug lokal na panggamhanan. Hilabi na diha sa ato ang amahan sa syudad sa Surigao del Norte, Governor Robert Lindon Barbers, ug ang amahan sa syudad sa Surigao, Mayor Paul Dumlao. Sa pikas bahin po ning atong pagtimbaya sa kasamtangang chairperson sa ato ang Tagum Cooperative, Director Jose Alvic Pisuay Bagyo. Uban man usab sa ato ang Vice Chairperson, Director Monica El Salido, ug sa mga miyembro sa Junta Direktiba, mga opisyales sa nagkalain-laing komitiba sulod sa Tagum Cooperative. Hilabi na sa ato ang Chief Executive Officer, Sir Jovencio Arvilla Jr., ug sa mga kaubanang empleyado, hilabi na sa ato mga pinalanggang miyembro, maayong pagpaminaw kaninyong tanan. Og live usab ta sa atong official Facebook page, ayaw kalimot na i-share og i-like ang atong live stream karon para mas daghan pa ang maabot sa atong maayong balita. You can also make use sa ato ang comment section diha para sa inyong mga pangutana o greetings. Og napatay igong panahon atong pangbasahon. Of course, atong i-cater lang katong mga pertaining sa atong ang topiko karong hapuna, which is ang Cooperative Code of the Philippines. Kani ato lang pahibawon ang tanan na please bear with us kay ato ang mga hisgutanan medyo bugat gyud ni. And also requires your attention no para mahibaw-an gyud ninyo kung unsa man gyud ang mga buot na mga ipahatod sa ato ang mga mandato, mga polisiya sa Cooperative Code o Cooperative Development Authority. And of course, ayaw kalimot na ilista mga importanteng detalye kabahin sa ato ang topiko Cooperative Code of the Philippines para sa ato ang text promo question. So i-save lang daan ang atong numero 0919-069-3382. Taod-taod bang hatag taog mga pangutana na pwede kaayo makadaog ang tanan og 100 pesos worth of cellphone load. So dako-dako na pod ang 100. Pwede na ka maka-TikTok, maka-Facebook, maka-Instagram. O lahi ra pod si nanay kay mo Instagram pod. Why not, di ba? Kay mo po na ang atong trend karon. Sa giingon pa, every day is a process of learning. So bisag og tiguang na, dapat kibaho gyapon mo socials. Mao gyud daw na sila ang modern lolo and lola. Well, so much for that. We are so happy na makauban na atong giimbitahan na guest karong hapuna. Karong hapuna, bisan pa man og busy kaayo sa iyang mga trabaho dito sa opisina nila. But then again, gitagaan gyud ta og higayon aron makipaghinabi aning Cooperative Code of the Philippines. Karong hapuna makauban nato atong kasamtangan na legal officer sa CDA Region 11. Atong i-welcome sa hawanan walay lain Attorney Earl Larroder. Attorney, maayong hapon ug welcome sa atong programa.
Hi Sir Ken, thank you for having me. Of course, good afternoon to all the listeners and viewers of RPN Surigao in advance. Happy New Year to everybody.
Yes, Happy New Year sa tanan. I hope magbabago na ang lahat. So much for that. Daghan kayong salamat Attorney Earl for gracing our program. Karong hapuna, I believe daghan kayong makutlo na mga ginintuang aral ang ato ang mga active listeners and active viewers diha sa ato ang Facebook page. So ayaw gyud magbuhi sulod sa usa ka oras na paghinabi sa Cooperative Code of the Philippines. Kay mao gyud ni ang atong angay mahibaw-an og mabatbat aron we are aware no sa mga pwede natong buhaton just in case na naay mga unforeseen na mga panghitabo sulod sa atong kooperatiba. And so wala ni pagduha-duha ato na ning sugdan Attorney Earl unsa man ato ang mga ato ang gina-expect karon na ma-discussion or matagaan nato og kalinawan diha sa ato mga naminaw karon because I believe kani siya na topic mao gyud ni pod ang ato ang kibali kaning tagaan jud og pagtagad no para sa mga miyembro sa ato ang Cooperative Development Authority or mga cooperative members. Before ta mo proceed sa ato ang mga paghinabi aning ato ang discussion karon sa ato ang radio program Attorney Earl, unsa man gyud ang ato ang Cooperative Development Authority ug unsa ang iyahang objective mandate ani pag-abot sa mga kooperatiba?
Okay, that's a very good question. The CDA, which stands for Cooperative Development Authority, is the number one, regulatory, second, developmental, and the new power of the CDA is quasi-judicial power. So, we're the national government agency in charge of regulating, developing, and listening to the complaints of cooperatives, especially all across our nation by virtue of the CDA Charter of 2019 and RA 9520 or the Cooperative Code of the Philippines.
Yes, so basin sa kadaghanan wala nahibaw na ang ato ang mga kooperatiba do na po'y governing agency. Mao ni ang CDA. Kung asa trabaho karon si Attorney Earl no from Cooperative Development Authority Region 11. So karon na segment nato karon Attorney Earl, asa man ta mo revolve around kay dako man kaayo ang ato ang hisgutanan pag-abot sa Cooperative Development Authority. We will just delve into some important aspects of Cooperative Development Authority, but if we have ample time na mabilin pod ato na lang pong tukion.
So for our segment, we're going to talk about the salient provisions of RA 9520, and we're going to talk about the frequently asked questions. We're going to talk about members' rights, election dispute, complaints. These are important things that a co-op officer and even a co-op member should know.
Kay importante na kay aron naapoy guidelines no na tumanon ang mga kooperatiba, and of course makibalupod ang mga members dito sa mga respective cooperatives kung unsa ang ilahang mga actionable steps na angay buhaton if there are circumstances na mag-occur sa among ma-mention karon. Now, according to the Republic Act 9520, who has the authority to supervise and validate elections within a cooperative of disputes arise. Tinuod ba ni siya, Attorney Earl?
Yes, when there's a conflict within the cooperative, the Co-op Code states that the dispute, sir, must be dealt with within the cooperative first. So, just a clarification, no, very important, kasi some members might think that if there's a problem, they will go directly to the barangay, to the court, or even to the CDA. So, it's expressly stated, no, for everybody that if there's a intra-co-op dispute, meaning an intra-co-op dispute, a dispute between or among a member, an officer, you have to deal with the dispute within the cooperative first. No, you do not go directly to the barangay, to the court, especially with the case of Uson versus PLDT Credit Multipurpose Cooperative. It's a new jurisprudence from the Supreme Court. Ang sabi doon is, we give always any intra-co-op dispute, try to settle it within the co-op first before you go to other agencies. Yun pong sinasabi doon.
So that's the process. So dili gyud ta mo diretso dayon dito because there are also guidelines with the cooperative, no, kung unsaon po nila na paglihok if na mga circumstances pag-abot na ng mga panahon. Now, kinsa pod ang naay mga katungod para sa pagboto and mo elect aning mga cooperative or during cooperative elections, Attorney Earl?
Okay. Before I go directly to that question, sir, no, it's very important because I think it's still happening, no. Before you call for a General Assembly, the General Assembly na Co-op Code states 90 days after the close of the fiscal year. So meaning, you usually have the General Assembly from January, February to March. You go beyond that, from January to March, that's called the Special Assembly. So before you have a General Assembly, before you have an election, the Election Committee or the ELECOM, together with the Secretary of the Board, they have to update the master list of members. Kasi it's very important that we determine for most of co-ops, the members in good standing and member in bad standing. Because in most, not all, no, cooperatives, only the members in good standing can vote and can be voted upon. So before we have an election, months before January, February, or March, dapat meron ng cleansing of the list. So this is done by the Secretary of the Board. She will give the list. And of course, by ELECOM. Because before you run for a position in the cooperative, you have to file your certificate of candidacy or nomination. So trabaho po yan ng election committee. Yes, sir.
Bakit kailangan meron tayong assembly or election na we gather our members, Attorney Earl? What is the importance of gathering that event?
Okay. The very special, the cooperative is sui generis. When I say sui generis, it's a Latin term, it's special. It's a special entity. Unlike a corporation or unlike a partnership or a sole proprietor, in a cooperative, everybody has a voice. Everybody is a share or owner. So it's very important that every year in a general assembly or in a representative assembly, we gather all the owner members, and we have to report to them what's happening with the cooperative. We also have to give them a choice of what are the actions of the board of directors in terms of management decisions and where the cooperative is heading towards the next few years. And of course, when we gather people, it's a time to get to know everybody, get to know the officers. So
Networking.
So it's very important because unlike a corporation, Sir Kent, it's only the board. This time, everybody is invited. You are welcome. You are an owner member of the cooperative.
Yeah, so it's important na kung kinsa man tong mga maimbitahan sa ato ang General Assembly, which I think sa General Assembly tanan man gyud na or kana mostly members in good standing, kailangan gyud mo participate aron ma-aware ta kung unsa mga katikaran na hitabo sa atong kooperatiba. Dili lang ta basta kay member because as mentioned by attorney, member owner ta kibali. So dapat dako pod og responsibilidad. Now, pag abot sa usapin na kanang mga of course, it's a financial institution. Naman gyud diha ang pagpahulam og kwarta, attorney, and naagi mga panahon na moabot gyud ta sa punto na kanang di makolekta ang kwarta. And to some extent, moabot pod na kanang magkinasuhay. Now, unsa pod ang role aning ato ang mediation committee, Attorney Earl, pag-abot ani mag-resolve ani mga conflicts among cooperative members?
Okay, we have to go back to the Alternative Dispute Resolution Act of 2004 or ADR Act. The beauty of CONMED or conciliation mediation according to Article 137 of the Co-op Code is any problem with the cooperative, the co-op against its member or its member against the co-op, as far as practicable, stated in the code, it must be settled through the Conciliation Mediation Committee. Meaning, you do not go directly to court. When you go to court, you have to hire a lawyer. You have to prepare a pleading. In the Conciliation Mediation Committee, you go to the CONMED. These are appointed officers of the board of directors, and you talk about it, in a non-adversarial, non-litigious way, meaning no lawyers. They will just invite you, the disputants, and you talk about the problem. The role of the conciliation mediation, I just want to clarify, baka a lot of CONMED members have a construed meaning, is just to facilitate. When we talk about conciliation mediation, you are not there to actively suggest solution. You are there to facilitate. When you say facilitate, the solution should come from the disputants. So they have to enter into an amicable settlement or a settlement that both parties would agree to. So the beauty with that circuit, you don't have to go to court. You don't have to hire a lawyer. You settle the issue internally and you settle it without having to pay money to lawyers or consultants.
Yes, that's very true. And di ta gusto mo abot na po ta dito court because lahi na po to, gasto kaayo ng ato taog ka ng korte, maghapatag mga lawyer, and it's another form of cost para sa ato ang mga members. And I think it has something to do as well as cooperative members. So if naatay mga obligasyon ng huram taog kwarta, dapat mutuon pud ta og bayad, no, para di na ta mo abot dito sa kinatumyan dito sa kaso-kaso kay hago naman na sa parte sa atong kooperatiba, and of course imuhang part because napog kay mga other errands na kailangan importante na mga buluhaton sa imong kinabuhi. Now, kailangan pud masabtan, Attorney Earl, as cooperative members na ang kanang ato ang kwarta na gibutang sa kooperatiba, kwarta na sa tanan. Mao nang may ningkamot gyud ang atong kooperatiba, atong Tagum Cooperative na mangolektaan ng kwartaha kay dili man na sa Tagum Coop na kwarta. Dito man na ang kanang kwartaha para na sa mga miyembro. No, mao nang ginaalagaan nato na ginaprotektahan nato na because we want to project or we want to believe that Tagum Cooperative is sustainable as a cooperative. Para maabtan pa na sa inyohang mga kaapu-apuhan dito sa inyohang mga tiil, unsa pa ba na nakaapu-apuhan, no? So ingon ana, we take good responsibility as members. Now, pag-abot aning unsa naman ang extent ani Attorney Earl if moabot na og korte gyud. Nabay mga kaso na kanang wala na gyud na settle sa CMC and niabot na siya og korte, or nabay possible or chances na moabot siya og korte pag inani na usap?
Yes. Unfortunately, when we talk about loan, mga bad debts, the remedy for that, if it's not settled, unfortunately, in the conciliation, magde-demand na yan, a demand letter. Then you have to go as to the jurisdictional amount if it's below 2 million for small claims court. So ipapatawag ka, then there's gonna be a summary hearing for that, and the decision will be made by the court. So as much as possible, hindi na tayo aabot sa level ng small claims court because the mere fact that a demand letter is given to you, you have to really pay already because if a demand letter, the next step really is a court action against you. That's the beauty here in the Co-op Code, in Tagum Co-op and other cooperatives. They give you the opportunity to rectify through the conciliation mediation, through the demand letter na para hindi na umabot to that level.
Okay, let's go back with our officers. Okay. Sa mga cooperatives na agyud na siya mga board of directors. Now, say for example, Attorney Earl, na ay mga protesta na hitabo sa cooperative which na dili ta gusto na mga ingon ana, no. If in case na mga protesta na mahitabo, unsa pod ang mga katungod or unsa pod ang mga legal responsibilities sa ato mga opisyalis pag-abot ani ng mga circumstances, Attorney Earl?
Okay, kapag if a protest, if there's an election protest, technically there are two ways: a pre-election controversy protest or a post-election controversy. When we talk about a protest, you are questioning an action or a decision. So you're a protestant technically. So the jurisdiction there, when we talk about election, it's with the election committee. According to our CDA Omnibus Rules promulgated December 21, 2023, kapag election-related ang issue, for example, you're questioning the qualification, you want to disqualify an officer because he or she is not a member in good standing, per se, you have to go, not to CDA, you have to go to the election committee. Then you have to file a protest form. Then you have to write there your name, what are you protesting, what is your legal basis. Then we have to give the election committee or the ELECOM the opportunity to render a resolution. So in a doctrine of exhaustion of administrative remedy, meaning If there's a protest, an election protest, ELECOM first, we let the ELECOM decide, and if you are not happy with the decision of the ELECOM, you elevate it to the CDA Adjudication Division. We, in the CDA, we already have a CDA Adjudication Division. Our adjudicator will decide. And if you're really not happy with it talaga, your remedy is to appeal it under Rule 43 under the Court of Appeals. And kung hindi ka pa talaga happy, you want to prolong it, you go to the Supreme Court. So these are the remedies in terms of a protest.
Okay, ang taas. And siguro expensive yon.
Yes, very
expensive, no? So, I hope hindi na tayo mag-abot. Now, say for example, Attorney Earl, kasi na-mention natin kanina may mga General Assemblies and Representative Assemblies. It's a valid thing ba na if a member complained during an assembly, doon sa assembly mismo, pwede ba yon?
Pwede, but of course, that complaint must be referred to the proper committee. It depends kasi sa nature of the complaint. Maybe the complaint is something about financial, so we have to refer it to the audit committee. If the complaint is something about election, we have to refer it to the ELECOM. The beauty of an assembly is everybody can be heard, but of course limited lang naman ang time, no. You can air your concerns because that's the only time that you get to see each other, and it's really valid. In a cooperative, it's a democratic process. Each shareholder owner can say something and can air their grievance there, so a member can open up about something during the assembly.
Okay, so klaro yon. So if you have concerns during your assembly or during our assemblies, you can also, but we first reach out to the respective committee.
Yes, of course.
So
yes.
that's the proper way and adequate way para ma-air natin or mapakinggan yung mga concerns natin during an annual representative assembly. Now, what is the better process option sa conciliation mediation process before going to straight to the court?
Okay. At first, ang problem kasi here, people they need to understand, if you have a complaint, you don't do it verbally. That's a problem we encounter in the CDA. You have to write it kasi the wording of the law is filing of a complaint. When you file something, it's in a written form, black and white. So you file the complaint first with the Conciliation Mediation Committee. I just want to clarify for all our listeners, no, if there's a problem, you don't go directly to the CEO. You don't go directly to the chairman, to the GM. All intra-co-op dispute for everybody, you go to the Conciliation Mediation Committee. So you file a written complaint. So the CONMED should receive that written complaint, and what they need to do is they're going to issue an order of preliminary conference. They will, para siyang katarunang pambarangay law in a co-op setting. So tatawagin kayo through the notice of preliminary conference in a specific date, time, and venue. Then you will talk about it. Then you will select your conciliator or mediator. Then you will start the conflict coaching, and obviously, hopefully, you could settle it within the conciliation mediation mechanism.
Ano naman yung tinatawag natin, Attorney Earl, na Certificate of Non-Settlement, and what its legal purpose?
That's a very good question, Sir Kent. No, for everybody to know, no, when you file a complaint with CONMED, under the CDA Omnibus Rules, the CONMED is given generally 30 calendar days to settle the dispute. Kapag hindi siya ma-settle or one of the disputants refuses to undergo the conciliation mediation process, the Conciliation Mediation Committee or CONMED is required by law to issue a Certificate of Non-Settlement or a CNS. It's very important also that according to the CDA Omnibus Rules, the Certificate of Non-Settlement is valid for only 120 calendar days from issuance or 4 months. So meaning, hindi na-settle ang complaint mo under sa CONMED committee, you have only 4 months to file or to elevate it with the CDA. Parang ganito kasi yan kapag ang tinapakan ang iyong karapatan right, dapat hindi mo itulugan ang karapatan mo. You have to file kasi may prescriptive period. Ibig sabihin ng prescriptive period for our listeners is there's only a designated number of days na mag-file ka. Kasi kung hindi ka mag-file, hindi na yan i-accept ng court. So may prescriptive period. So the Certificate of Non-Settlement is the evidence stating na hindi na-settle ang intra-co-op dispute within the CONMED committee.
Okay, so ganon. So meron tayong prescriptive period of time, no? Kailangan natin ma-anticipate kung may legal actions na ba na nagawa yung ating kooperatiba for certain matters na mga ganyan na mga pangyayari. Now, how can members make sure, Attorney Earl, that cooperative elections are fair? Because maraming mga instances din, hindi lang sa cooperative setting, kundi na sa politics na sa atin. How can members make sure that elections being held are fair and transparent, and how are the board members properly elected?
Okay, it boils down, Sir Kent, to the election rules and guidelines, or ERG. It is a requirement that all election committee or ELECOM members should have an election rules and guidelines. Kasi sa cooperative kasi you are autonomous. So the CDA will not interfere at first. So to have a fair, reasonable election, you should have, number one, a good election rules and guidelines. In the election rules and guidelines, it's the policy of the ELECOM. Diyan na nakastipulate what will happen during the election. What are the steps in the election. Number two, it's really good that the articles of cooperation and bylaws is clearly explained to the members. Kasi diyan natin makikita what are the qualifications, what are the disqualifications for a nominee or for a candidate. And number three, we have to undergo, ito hindi ito masyadong nagagawa, no, unfortunately, the screening process. When we talk about screening process, days or months before the date of the election, the ELECOM, together with the board secretary, they haggle together, they create a screening committee. So they will update the master list, update the members in good standing. They have to ensure that all certificate of candidacy or nominations are studied. Kasi dyan pa lang malalaman na, is this person qualified? Is he not qualified? Then after, that's pre-election, and during the election, they have to ensure that proper documents are there, the list is there, they have a designated focal person. And after the election, they have to ensure that there's a proclamation, there's an oath of office, and there's no protest. So I think these mechanisms, having a good ERG, having a well-documented, well-explained articles of cooperation and bylaws, having a screening committee ahead of the election to prepare the election itself or the assembly are very important. The steps of having a clean and clear and fair election.
So, kasi ginagawa natin yan because yung mga responsibilidad ng mga officers natin, sila talaga yung tumitingin, directing na isang obligation nila to direct the cooperative. So it's very important na yung mga qualifications nila ay totoo talaga and that they pass the qualifications, no? Kasi yung mga officers, sila yung nagdadala ng kooperatiba natin eh.
Yes.
So dapat sila, they have the skills, they have the qualifications of being the officer talaga ng kooperatiba, because yung mga sabi-sabi nga before na yung mga cooperative prone to yung dati, Attorney Earl, na pagka-operatiba madaling malugi, yung mga ganyan. So malaki talaga yung role ng mga cooperative officers. So from that alone, from the screening, scrutinizing their qualifications, dapat tama na yon. Kasi dyan, from that alone, makikita natin na yung kooperatiba is doing good in terms of the implementation. Kasi meron tayong mga officers na mga magagaling eh. No? So dapat ma-screen out natin yon during the election. Now, ano naman yung mga say for example, yung election na held, Attorney Earl, is nakita improper or unfair. Ano naman yung mga legal remedies that are available for our members to execute?
Okay, that's a very timely question. If you feel, you observe, and you want to, number one, you have to file a protest talaga. Sa Rule 2 ng Rules of Court natin kasi, if there's an act or omission or actionable wrong, you have to do something. Hindi pwede na may nakita ka lang, hindi mo lang gusto, chichismisin mo kaagad. You have to file something, and you have to file a protest form. A protest form kasi is a document you have to submit before the election committee. Na you're stating there ano ba itong nakita mong hindi mo gusto? What are the fraud, ang hindi maganda sa election na yon? Then the election committee shall be given the opportunity to study it and rectify it. You don't go directly to court when this happens, or you don't go to other institutions. It's the election committee that has jurisdiction, even to the CD, under the CD Omnibus Rules of Procedure, to look into this election concerns of members.
Paano naman yung sa side ng nag-file ng complaint, Attorney Earl? Say for example, ano yung mga communication na dapat ma-receive niya, or what are the time periods? Say for example, after his or her complaint, ano naman yung ma-expect niya for 1 week ba, 2 weeks ba, or 1 month ba yung aantayin niya to receive a communication from the cooperative?
So it's very important that the election committee should have their election rules and guidelines. Ang ELECOM kasi is like a COMELEC, no? Kung ikaw ay may protest, nakalagay kasi sa election rules and committee ang steps nila, how many days. So per co-op iba-iba kasi ang policy nila. So very important also, kung before you file a protest, alam mo ano ang election rules and guidelines ng election committee or ng ELECOM ng cooperative nyo. And doon malalaman kung ilang days. Usually, sa CD Omnibus Rules, they are usually given 30 calendar days to issue a resolution. A resolution, ladies and gentlemen, is the decision. Decision yan ng ELECOM sa concern mo. So, kung hindi ka pa rin masaya doon, your next step is to go directly to CDA Adjudication Division. Ganun po ang i-expect nyo. You file a protest under the protest form to ELECOM. Usually, kapag wala nakalagay sa ERG, it's 30 calendar days meron ang ELECOM to decide. Kasama na dyan ang bibigyan ka ng reply letter, or they're gonna ask for additional supporting documents.
Okay, so ganun yung process. Now, sa mga kooperatiba, may mga pangyayari ba, Attorney Earl, na yung mga minority members, they are being silenced, or parang wala silang mga boses, and ano yung mga protection or mga action na undertake ng Cooperative Development Authority to combat for that mga pangyayari na ganyan?
Well, we receive reports about that, no. May mga ganong accusations. So the question now is what can CDA do? So CDA can investigate. The CDA has the power to investigate, and CDA has the power to file administrative cases against these erring officers. So, again, the first step, we go back, you file a complaint with ELECOM. Kung hindi ka masaya, you also want to file an investigation, you file directly with CDA. But you have to file through a verified pleading. Ibig sabihin, verified pleading, may lawyer gumawa nito, there's a certificate of non-forum shopping, nakalagay doon sa pleading nyo the factual antecedents. Anong mga nangyari? Ano ang issue na gusto nyong ipa-investigate? Ano pangalan ng mga taong ito, ang mga address nila? And due process also, sir, if we receive a petition for investigation, we inform the other party, the officers, para alam nila na ito ang problem, may gusto silang i-investigate. So, the power of CDA is to investigate, and the second power of CDA, if found liable by the CD Adjudication Division, we impose administrative sanctions. Kasama na dito ang preventive suspension, removal from the cooperative, removal of any benefits from the cooperative, among other penalties.
Meron na bang mga cases, Attorney Earl, that the cooperative, due to the complaint or the situation, nag-worse yung situation ng mga ganyan, is na-dissolve yung cooperative?
Yes. We had even very big cooperative may fall victim to that, no? May mga unfair na practices or mga malicious or mismanaged na practices. Usually kasi magre-reflect yan, sir, kapag may mga members magfa-file na. Hindi lang file sa CONMED, no, magfa-file na ng case talaga sa CDA. We had experiences na even big, very strong cooperatives, they prey victim because of alleged mismanagement. So we receive a lot of verified complaint. Meron kaming na-receive verified complaint for election. May instances daw na nilalaro yung election. So it was elevated to the Adjudication Division. We also received cases by lawyers talaga to investigate very big, strong cooperatives, and we did investigate. So it only shows that the quasi-judicial mechanism of CDA is working. However, it takes really time because, of course, we have to give due process also to the to the respondents. They also have to get their lawyers, and they have to give their counter affidavits and possession paper. But right now, I think in the Davao region, we rendered already, I think, 3 decisions finding certain officers liable of violations of the CDA Omnibus Rules of Procedure.
Okay, now what happens, Attorney Earl, if proven na na-dissolve at saka wala na yung cooperative? Ano yung mangyayari sa mga financials na naiwan doon, mga asset na naiwan doon? Does this financial records be distributed to among the cooperative members or mapupunta sa mga governing bodies?
Okay. When the cooperative is in a state of liquidation or dissolution, dalawa lang kasi yan eh. You have to choose whether you want to voluntarily undergo dissolution process. When you say voluntary, the co-op will decide through a board resolution, through an assembly, na okay, we're going to close our co-op. So we will constitute a board of liquidators. These people, the liquidators, they will sell all our asset. We're gonna turn it liquid. Dapat lahat cash money. Then we have to pay our creditors, applying the civil code on preference and concurrence of creditors. We have to pay first the government. We have to pay our outstanding creditors or suppliers. And if may maiwan pa pong pera, that's the only time that we will return the money to our members. Unfortunately, there are instances that bagsak na po talaga yung cooperative because of mismanagement, no? Na wala ng perang natira, they can't even pay their suppliers or creditors. So you don't expect also, the members unfortunately cannot expect their money back. Because in a cooperative, when you give your CBU your share, it's also a bit of a gamble. You're going to pool all your resources, you're going to elect good officers, and the assumption is you have to elect good officers, not self-vested interest officers. Kasi if there's gonna be mismanaged cooperative, lahat ng pera also nyo na nilagay dyan sa co-op na yon could be prone for dissolution, mawawala. Then the other way, Sir Kent, is involuntary servitude, meaning involuntary dissolution, meaning the co-op will be dissolved by the authority or kapag may board resolution na from the CD Board of Liquidators. Ang problem na with involuntary dissolution, hindi siya ni-dissolve by the co-op themselves. So, by law, automatic by operation of law, we will automatically cancel this. May matitira pang mga assets yan. May mga building, may mga farmlands pa yan. Yan ang problem ngayon. Kasi ngayon, wala na ang board, ang mga members hindi na sauli sa kanila ang pera, wala na. Sino na ang magdi-dissolve? So, naka-pending ang mga assets na yan. So, it will take time na naman because we have to wait for a CDA board resolution from the central office. Anong gagawin yan? Or we have to constitute a board of liquidators. Hahanap pa tayo ng mga taong sino magli-liquidate. Kaya it's very important. I just wanna clarify for all our listeners. In case that your cooperative you think will not survive a financial condition, and you want to close it, I highly recommend you undergo voluntary dissolution because malalaman talaga dyan lahat, the documentation, the financial statement, malalaman dyan at mako-close ang co-op nyo ng maayos, unlike a involuntary dissolution process.
Yes, so klaro yon, no? Importante. So, very crucial talaga when you select a officer sa cooperative. So, dapat maging matinik tayo ng paghahanap ng mga magagaling, no? Hindi lang magagaling, kundi may puso din to serve our cooperative members. And we are so lucky, Attorney Earl, that we have officers na complete package na.
Yes.
And I think that also reflects sa mga employees ng Tagum Cooperative, no? From the direction of the whole officialdom of Tagum Cooperative up to dun sa mga officer, up to dito sa mga empleyado ng Tagum Cooperative, makikita po natin yan. And we are so thankful pagdating sa usapin na ganyan. Now, ano naman yung mga minimum standards for financial reporting, Attorney Earl? Kasi we understand marami pong circular memorandum ang sinusunod ng Tagum Cooperative from our CDA. Now, what are the minimum standards for financial reporting and transparency na nire-require ng Cooperative Development Authority?
Okay, yung sa accounting kasi is may Philippine framework talaga tayo for cooperatives. It's very special, no? Not all mga entities may Philippine framework for accounting. And sa cooperative sector here, sa ating mga ka-co-ops, meron talaga tayong Philippine framework for accounting. The very basic is the audited financial statement. Under Article 53 of the Co-op Code, every year, the cooperative must pass a reportorial requirement. Ang isa na, in terms of finances, is an audited financial statement. Now, it should be audited by the auditors. Then some cooperatives, sir Kent, they want it para double check talaga re-audited. So you could also ask for a CEA, a cooperative external auditor, to re-audit it also. And dyan rin papasok ang work ng audit committee. So at checks and balance also, the audit committee would also check the financial statements of the cooperative. So dali yun, nakatatlo ka na. The audit itself by the co-op, the audit committee, the external auditor. So very basic minimum requirement is you submit a audited financial statement duly signed by the auditor, a licensed auditor, and also submitted to the CDA. The problem with some cooperatives, no, unfortunately, they are unable or they cannot or will not pass a audited financial statement, or they will pass an audited financial statement beyond the 1 year, after 2 years, 3 years. Kaya, very important talaga, do you have a strong financial literacy, a good team, a good audit committee in terms of your submissions.
Paano naman yun, attorney? Or say, for example, the cooperative submitted the reports 2 years after. Paano naman yun? Valid pa ba yung, yung report na yun?
Okay. The reports are valid, but kung hindi ka kasi you are unable to submit your reportorial requirement, you will not get your certificate of compliance or your COC. For the sake of our listeners, no, the COC is like the Bible of a co-op. Without a COC, you will not get your certificate of tax exemption. Without your COC, you will not get your business permit. Without a COC, you cannot enter into a transport with the LTO for public conveniences. So without the audited financial statement, no COC. No COC, you cannot operate well kasi madaming mga documents with other agencies hindi nyo makukuha. As to the question, can you still submit? Yes, you can still submit. However, when you are a small, medium, large, and billionaire co-op, there's also a penalty fee. Meaning, every day na hindi kayo nakakasubmit, it's 100 pesos, including weekends, no? So, it's very important for all our cooperative officers, you have to submit irrespective of ano nangyari, your reportorial requirements.
Okay. So, kailangan yon. Dapat annually, nasasubmit natin yon for a year kasi dun din magbe-base yung ating management in terms of decision making.
Yes.
Doon natin malalaman kung ano yung mga steps natin na gagawin for the next year to come. Now, how about kasi yung cooperative natin, Attorney Earl, meron yung mga patronage refund, interest on share capital. Meron bang mga rights yung CDA natin to enter into the regulating distribution of net surpluses and patronage refunds?
Well, technically, we only look into the propriety of the decision in making that because in a cooperative, you are autonomous. So, we give you the leeway. Ano ba ang scheme nyo? Paano ba ang percentage nyo? We issue the memorandum circular. But if we look, our cooperative development specialist or CDS would go to your area, would examine, would validate, at may makita, it's going to be, we call that findings. So that findings must be rectified. Mali ata ang computation nito, hindi tama ata ang ng patronage refund na ito. These are just findings. So doon papasok si CDA. But if yung si CDA talaga ang magre-rectify that, no, we will just have a findings, then we could ang effect is we will not issue your COC or we could suspend your COC. Yan ang regulatory powers namin.
Meron po bang mga mandatory requirements in terms of training programs para sa ating mga officers ng kooperatiba na siniset ng Cooperative Development Authority, Attorney Earl?
Yes, under our CREET, saan si Ma'am Jam, ang aking very active na CDS is under ngayon. I think every month may schedule kami for training for officers. Nandiyan na yung fundamentals of cooperative and good governance. So you really have to undergo training. Meron kasing certificate na ini-issue ito sa mga officers para at least kompleto ang inyong reportorial requirements.
Okay, so meron. And if yung cooperative natin, in terms of their officers, we can capacitate our officers to send them to training programs na binibigay or minamandate ng Cooperative Development Authority. Kasi meron din tayong mga federations that ultimately provide din ng mga training programs in order to capacitate our officers. So, importante din yon because we want to believe that yung skills natin na binubuhos doon sa ating kooperatiba is, lifetime yon, marami yon. And for the next generations to come, dapat we are aware of the trend ng ating bansa, kung ano yung nangyayari so that meron tayong mabubuo na mga decision, tangible decisions that will benefit the cooperative. So, importante talaga na meron yung mga training programs. And I believe, dito sa atin naman, Tagum Cooperative, madami yung training programs na sinasalihan natin. We send our officers even to overseas na mga training programs so that they will gain knowledge that will benefit our cooperative. And hindi lang dyan, kasi we also require our officers to share, hindi lang magsisettle doon sa kanila, but among our management, they will also at least grasp nung ano yung mga na-gain nila during the training programs. Okay, so I think we all wrapped up our discussion. Sa maraming usapin talaga, Attorney Earl. Ang dami, and I can't take it. Ang dami, no? So, yung mga ganitong usapin talaga, it's kind of challenging kasi it's about the law, no?
Yes.
It's the law, and we want everyone to grasp and understand in layman's term. Buti nga marunong si Attorney Earl na i-layman's term yung mga explanation, kaya naiintindihan natin. But if meron tayong mga questions, we can directly proceed to CDA.
Yes.
Meron naman doon sa CDA natin if may mga questions kayo, and if may available naman yung natin, Google, no? Meron tayo, we can make use of our Google and search kung ano yung mga important details pagdating sa usapin ng Cooperative Development Authority. At this point in time, yung mga naiwan natin dyan na mga viewers dyan sa ating Facebook, I hope you can share our live stream para mas marami pa tayong matulungan sa ating Tagum Cooperative. And of course, we'd like to take this opportunity as well para sa mga greetings ni Attorney Earl para sa kanyang mga families, and of course mga friends and relatives, mga colleagues niya dyan sa Davao City. Attorney Earl, take it away.
So I'd like to thank, of course, Tagum Co-op for having us. I would like to thank our Regional Director, Glenn S. Garcia, MJM, for his leadership. And on behalf of the men and women of the Cooperative Development Region 11 Extension Office, we are here, we're ready to serve, and we are with you, mga co-ops. Maraming salamat po.
Ayan, thank you so much, Attorney Earl, for gracing our radio program. And sa mga naiwan dyan sa ating Facebook live stream, I hope ma-share natin para madami pa tayong matulungan dito sa ating Tagum Cooperative. And of course, sa mga naminaw dihapod sa ato ang on air, if namin mga Facebook accounts, ayaw kalimot na i-follow atong official Facebook page para updated ka sa mga kalihukan, kasikas sulod sa atong Tagum Cooperative. Now, of course, kani po na lang huwatan po sa atong mga members ang ato ang text promo question. Atong text promo question, dali lang kaayo ni. Unsa man ang governing agency na nagtan-aw para sa mga kooperatiba or cooperative sectors. Again, unsa man ang agency or governing agency na nagtan-aw para sa mga kooperatiba or cooperative sector. I-type lamang inyong tamang tubag kauban ang inyong lugar o pangalan sa atong numero na 0919-069-3382. Okay. So, daghan-daghan na atong mga nag-participate ani atong text promo question. I hope tama inyong mga tubag. Tagay lang mi og mga pipila ka adlaw para ma-process ang inyong nadaugan. Ato lang nang i-load sa inyo 100 pesos worth of cellphone load. sa mga nagpabilin diha sa to ang Facebook live streaming again, hangyoon gyud nato na i-share o i-like ang atong live stream karon para mas daghan pa ang madungog sa atong maayong balita kabahin sa ato ang topiko Cooperative Code of the Philippines. And sa makausap, ako yung higala sa kahanginan. Karon, thank you so much sa pag-anhi o pag-participate diri sa ato ang radio program, Attorney Earl Larroder of Cooperative Development Authority. Kaway-kaway diha sa atong camera, sir. Ayan, thank you so much. At tangi kami sunod sa mga higayon nato mga programa diri sa Tagum Co-op, ang tubag sa panginahanglan giya sa kauswagan samang panahon ug samang oras diri lamang sa atong sinimanang tulumanon ang Tagum Co-op, tubag sa panginahanglan giya sa kauswagan. Daghang salamat ug dalaygon ang Dios.
Kung adunay panginahanglan, ang Tagum Coop may tubag sa tanan, mag-atiman sa kaumaon ko. May Tagum Coop nga kadangpan ko, may kahayag ang kaumaon ko, ang Tagum Coop masaligan ko. May kalipay ang kinabuhi ko, may Tagum Coop nga kadangpan ko, may Tagum Coop nga kadangpan ko.
Mga kaigsuunan,